At my daughter's baby's welcome, my husband suddenly took the microphone. He picked up our daughter and knelt on one knee in front of his idealized love. "Luna, you're the only person I've ever truly loved. I wish this child were the continuation of our love." Luna wrapped her arms tightly around my husband, crying inconsolably, "I never had the chance to have Ethan's child, so let Grace do it for me." The noisy chatter of guests filled my ears, and on stage, my own husband was passionately kissing another woman. My daughter lay in their arms, wailing loudly. At that moment, I felt like the most utterly failed wife and mother. With a faint smile, I took my daughter, slipped off my wedding ring, and placed it in Luna's hand. "What do you mean, no chance? The family is still depending on you. 8 years ago, I married Ethan. Even though his parents strongly objected, he still slipped a diamond ring onto my ring finger in front of all our relatives and friends. So I was eager to humble myself completely, just to gain his parents' approval. He said it was a Thompson family tradition. As long as I could bear a child, I'd be able to call them mom and dad in front of everyone and become their proper daughter-in-law." I believed him. But now, at my daughter's baby's welcome, my husband was embracing another woman, both of them whispering intimately and exchanging heartfelt words. This man, who on stage looked at his idealized love with such tender affection, had complained just last night that our daughter's crying was too loud, flipping out of bed without hesitation to hide in the guest room. The sound of the door slamming shut made my heart tighten. My daughter's heart-wrenching cries pierced my eardrums, and my heart felt like it was being squeezed tightly, making it hard to breathe. Suddenly, I couldn't take it anymore. I stepped onto the stage. Because of my words, Luna's head lolled, and she slumped weakly into Ethan's arms, as if she would collapse any second. The man's face instantly went pale. He scooped Luna up by her legs and ran towards St. Jude's Hospital, but not before shoving me hard to the ground with his shoulder. But my daughter was still in my arms. I didn't have time to brace myself, and half my body fell straight to the ground with a thud. My body was numb with pain as angry shouts rained down on me. "Whore, if anything happens to Luna, you won't live either. I don't know what I ever saw in you. These past few years, you've thrown the entire Thompson family into a complete shambles." I bit my lip and reached out to gently pat my daughter in my arms. She probably didn't understand why her father would lose his temper so suddenly. She just buried her face in my chest and cried until her whole body convulsed. As I watched Ethan carry Luna away, the MC on stage didn't even dare to breathe loudly. Grandma's face immediately broke into a smile as she addressed the guests. "R isn't feeling well, so Ethan took her home early." But then she turned and pinched the skin on my waist, her face livid as she hissed, "You ignorant wretch. Giving birth to a burden and still no shame. You've completely disgraced the Thompson family now." The legitimate wife was treated like mud underfoot by the entire family, while the mistress who had usurped my place was revered as his idealized love. My 8 years of having made myself subservient, it was truly ridiculous. My gaze unconsciously searched the venue for Alex and Sarah. After all, they were my family, and blood runs thicker than water. But I only saw Alex bowing obsequiously to Grandma, promising that I would take good care of the Thompson family and Luna from then on. Sarah, on the other hand, glared fiercely at me, telling me to hurry and bring Ethan back, and to quickly have another son to secure my position as a Thompson daughter-in-law. I stared blankly at the faces before me, both strange and familiar, and unconsciously hugged my daughter tighter. At least I still at her. Perhaps to teach me a lesson, his parents left early with their driver. I frantically stumbled with my daughter to Alex and Sarah's car, but couldn't open the door. Even though I pounded on the car window, the people inside remained indifferent. Dark clouds gathered in the sky. The hotel was halfway up the mountain. Even if I could walk back in the rain, my daughter, who had just turned 1 month old, certainly couldn't endure it. There was no other way. I gritted my teeth and stood in front of the car, which was about to start. Sarah finally rolled down the window and poked her head out. "You useless thing, do I have to teach you even this? If can feign illness, can't you get sick too? Walk down the mountain with the child. If you get sick with a fever, Ethan will definitely come home." The words I was about to say were swallowed back as the car's front bumper brushed past my leg, then pulled away. My eyes stung painfully, and I bit my lip hard to keep the tears from falling. I couldn't break down. I sat dejectedly in the hotel lobby, hoping a driver on the ride-hailing app would accept a ride. A torrential storm erupted outside, howling winds whipped the heavy rain, pushing open the glass doors, and the baby in my arms shivered, her lips turning purple. I was only wearing a thin cheapao and begged a waiter for a blanket. Even wrapped in the blanket, my daughter's cries grew weaker. She hadn't had a drop of milk since morning. The waiter shook his head, saying there was no baby formula at the hotel and pointing outside, suggesting it would be easier to find a taxi down the mountain. I held up an umbrella with one hand, cradled my daughter with the other, and stepped into the storm, my heels sinking into the wet ground. The ridge road was far harder to navigate than I'd imagined. The slanting rain almost soaked me through, the skin on my heels was rubbed raw, stinging painfully from the rain. Thankfully, my daughter lay safe and sound in the blanket, dozing. Ding, 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 my suddenly vibrated. Thinking a driver had accepted my ride, I quickly pulled it out. It was a message from Ethan. Over a dozen messages, every word accusing me, why I had embarrassed Luna today, why I had forced her to collapse in public, when she had never fought me for anything, and yet I couldn't tolerate such a kind, good girl. I wanted to scoff out loud, but my face was frozen stiff by the cold wind. The next second, an unknown number called. I answered. Before I could ask for the last digits of the driver's license plate, the man's familiar voice came through the phone. Luna, are you still not feeling well? Don't scare me, you know I can't live without you. It was Luna calling. Ethan was soothing the woman on the hospital bed with a tenderness I had never heard from him before. My daughter in my arms seemed to hear her father's voice and quickly reached out her small hands, waving them in the air, her dark, bright eyes full of expectation and trust. I remembered when my daughter had a high fever just after she was born, her tiny body curled into a ball. I was terrified out of my wits and called Ethan. But his tone was icy, reprimanding me for being an incapable mother, telling me to send the child away if I couldn't handle it, and to stop constantly causing him trouble. My daughter was unconscious when she was taken to St. Jude's Hospital, and he never showed up, not once. Later I found out that on the day my daughter had a fever, Luna had accidentally eaten her baby formula, which caused her lactose intolerance, leading to dehydration and hospitalization. The doctor said she cannot eat rich or spicy foods for a while. Ethan, of course, took his anger out on me and my daughter because of this, seeing us only as troublemakers. On the other end of the phone, they were full of tender affection, while on my end, in the wind and rain, my daughter's soft laughter mingled with the storm. My fingers trembling, I pressed the hang-up button. Yes. Who'd have realized long ago that an ungrateful wretch could never be satisfied? Gritting my teeth, I continued walking down the mountain, the taste of rust filling my mouth. The main road was just ahead. My rang again. This time it was finally Ethan. As soon as I answered, he launched into a furious lecture, his heavy breathing coming through the receiver, demanding that I immediately go to St. Jude's Hospital and go down on her knees and apologize to Luna. I said nothing. My daughter's sudden cries made his tone soften slightly, but it still carried clear impatience. Where are you? On the scenic. What? Perhaps to confirm my words, the rumble of thunder suddenly erupted, and my daughter burst into loud sobs. Didn't you go home with Mom and Dad? So troublesome. Wait for me to find someone to pick you up. The man's words were cut off as a delicate female voice rang out. Ethan, don't be mad at Grace. Otherwise, the child will suffer. Even though the child's mother is so heartless. I knew it, Ethan's anger reignited. The furious roar from the other end of the phone seemed to rip through my eardrums. Grace! Even the cruelest animal protects its young. Despite me, you're disregarding our child's well-being? I must have been blind to have married you. Yes, he was blind. He and Luna, they deserve each other. Since they were so devoted to each other, why did he choose me in the first place? It was a complete waste of my 8 years. Looking at the tiny bundle in my arms, I took a deep breath. Let's get a divorce. I hung up. Just then, a driver accepted my ride, and I got into the car with my daughter. My best friend, a lawyer who was away on a business trip, texted me, asking for photos from my daughter's baby's welcome. I paused for a moment, then slowly typed a line. I want a divorce. Can you help me? I drafted and redrafted the message, but I couldn't bring myself to press send. As I hesitated, Ethan's messages popped up one after another. Dare to leave. The Thompson family, and you'll be a worthless discard. Your own daughter won't even call you mom later. I'm giving you one last chance. Go to St. Jude's Hospital and go down on her knees and apologize to Luna. One last chance? In the past, I was so afraid Ethan would divorce me that I would have crawled to Luna's bedside, but now, looking at my daughter in my arms, I knew I should give her a warm and normal home. I pressed send, then blocked Ethan. Pushing open the door to my house, diapers and clothes were piled high in the living room. It was a complete mess, as usual. Mike continued to buzz incessantly. Luna continued sending me videos from unknown numbers. In one, Ethan gently spooned congee to her lips, smiling faintly as he said he'd made it himself. Their bodies gradually drew closer, but then the video abruptly cut off. I couldn't help but let out a cold laugh. After saving the video to my phone, I turned to prepare baby formula for my daughter. For half a month straight, Ethan didn't come home. During that time, Alex and Sarah kept calling and messaging, asking if I had reconciled with him. I simply replied coldly that we were getting divorced. They immediately lamented loudly, asking how the Sue family could have produced such an unfilial daughter who couldn't even keep a man's heart. Until I blocked them. Even though I had tried my best to distance myself from Ethan, I saw sensational tabloid gossip about us on a large screen at the Metro Market. The headline read, Crestwood City Thompson's legitimate gives to daughter, young seeks to remarry. Reporters revealed how Ethan had left with Luna at the birthday party, while I returned home alone with my daughter in the heavy rain, my face, unblurred, played on a loop for all to see. My breath hitched, as if I was instantly transported back to that stormy baby's welcome. I hadn't done anything wrong. The next second, someone firmly gripped my arm. It was Ethan. I tried to pull away, but as I struggled, more onlookers gathered. In the end, I was pulled and dragged into the car. Grace, do you have no shame? You almost killed someone, and you won't even go apologize? Forget it, forget it. What bad luck for me to have married you. You should go lie low for a while. I'll handle the rest of this mess you created. Ethan pinched his temples while tossing a set of keys into my lap. Under my confused gaze, he clicked his tongue impatiently. This is now under your name. Go there to relax for a while. Stop bothering Luna, her health isn't good, she can't handle your harassment. I toyed with the keys in my hand. I knew this estate all too well, it was worth millions. Before we were married, Ethan used to buy little trinkets to make me happy, watercolor clay figurines, decorative knots from roadside stalls. I cherished them all and never coveted anything more. After marriage, I was even more careful, avoiding any financial entanglement with him, fearing his parents would misunderstand me as being greedy for money. Although I was the daughter-in-law of the Thompson family of Crestwood City, I actually used my meager premarital savings to maintain the household. Now, because of Luna, he was inadvertently benefiting me. Perhaps seeing my silence, Ethan added, Don't worry, the position of Thompson family daughter-in-law is still yours. I put the keys back in his pocket. Then I lifted the corner of my mouth and replied sincerely, since Master and Ms. Luna are in love with each other, I'm not a dramatic person. She can have the position of wife. Please make time in your busy schedule, young Ethan, to finalize our divorce. Ethan's eyes widened in surprise. He couldn't believe I actually dared to divorce him. The stuffy air in the car made me feel irritated. As for custody and asset division, I'll have my lawyer handle it. From beginning to end, our marriage was only because I was obedient. Obedient like a dog. A mere crumb of kindness he bestowed when he was happy. I was expected to repay with my lifelong devotion. But now, I refused. The words had barely left my lips when Ethan's veins bulged on his forehead, and he punched the steering wheel. Grace, what haven't I given you? Just give the Thompson family another son, and I'll make the next babies welcome a grand affair. He always wanted me to bear a son, but after I gave birth to my daughter, the Thompson family disliked that it wasn't a boy. I looked at the passers-by outside the window and said blandly, Let's go home. Our daughter needs to be fed. Ethan's lips parted and closed. After a long pause, he finally stepped on the gas. On the way, I watched my daughter on the screen. She couldn't speak yet, but she was already babbling at me from her car seat. My heart instantly melted, and all my worries and pain were cast aside. The next second, Ethan's phone rang, and Luna's cloying voice shattered the brief moment of peace. I took a deep breath. I was all too familiar with the rest of this charade. Ever since she returned to the country, she would feign illness on every major holiday. Even on the day I was in the birthing suite, she supposedly fainted from worrying about me, while my daughter's own father was at another woman's bedside when she was born. I took the initiative to speak. You will be there shortly. The man hastily hung up and stared at me hesitantly. You know you were wrong? I nodded. Yes, I know. I only regret knowing it too late. Ethan, satisfied, pulled the car over. I opened the door without hesitation. My wrist was suddenly grabbed. The man's eyes were full of tenderness. Wait for me at home. I'll take you and our daughter out to dinner later. Don't go causing trouble. The position of Mrs. Grace will always be yours. I vaguely agreed. Unexpectedly, his grip tightened on my wrist, and he pulled me back into the seat. Suddenly, his lips were close to mine. Grace, I like you like this. I quickly turned my head and pushed him away, smiling as I said, "Don't keep Luna waiting," and slammed the door as I left. After I got home, I immediately had the locks changed. In the middle of the night, Ethan's knocking grew more frantic, followed by a string of angry curses. I comforted the fragrant little one in my arms, and as drowsiness overcame me, I slept soundly through the night. The next morning, my phone showed over 40 unread messages. I scrolled straight to the end, where Ethan warned he'd teach me a lesson. I didn't understand. It wasn't until a week later, when I went to the company with my divorce agreement to see Ethan, that I was stopped by security. I smiled and asked him to contact director, but the security guard pointed to the company notice board, saying that Luna was the newly appointed general of Thompson. So this was the lesson Ethan wanted to teach me, letting his idealized love take control of the company? Unfortunately, it was no threat to me. After leaving the divorce agreement, I hurried home to gather evidence. Meanwhile, the Thompson scandal online escalated, and Ethan's executive contacted me. His distant gaze barely concealed his disdain as he coldly conveyed young Ethan's intentions. Ethan was willing to give me a chance to make amends. As long as I attended a press conference with him and explained to the public that I had deliberately interfered in their relationship and successfully taken her place while Luna was abroad recovering from an illness. After all, unlike Luna, I didn't have competence or a career, nor did I need to be in the public eye, so public interest would quickly fade. As long as I cooperated, I would remain the envied family daughter-in-law. I refused with a smile. After we married, Ethan always said my work was just trivial, and I should quit and stay home. So I became, in his words, an unaccomplished, financially dependent socialite wife. Soon after, his parents came again under the pretext of visiting their granddaughter to persuade me. Seeing that my stance was firm, their faces immediately darkened. They pointed their fingers at my nose, saying that if the company went under, I wouldn't get a single penny. I likewise asked them to leave my house. I wasn't actually that bad. I graduated from a prestigious university and worked for a reputable company. There was no reason for me to be in such a distressed state. I sent out resume after resume, but they all vanished without a trace. I didn't need to think twice to know it was the Thompson family's doing. Just as my spirits hit rock bottom, Alex and Sarah suddenly said they had arranged for me to meet some company executives for dinner. I readily agreed. But in the private dining room, I saw Ethan, sitting with one leg crossed over the other. At the dinner table, Ethan sat beside me, eagerly pouring tea and serving food for me. Sarah smiled with a fawning smile, endlessly praising that marrying into the Thompson family meant I was blessed beyond measure. Alex bowed low, offering a toast to Ethan. Our parents passed away early, and I haven't disciplined my sister properly. She disgraced the Thompson family at the baby's welcome. If she dares to disobey, just tell me. I'll break her legs. No sooner had he spoken than Sarah shoved a glass of wine into my hand, urging me to quickly kneel down and apologize to Ethan. Ethan's gaze fell on me. His eyes were full of disdain and an absolute certainty of victory. I gripped the wine glass tightly, the tip of my nose stung, but I bit back my tears. After our parents passed away, Alex and I only had each other. I knew he saw me as a pawn for his advancement, yet I couldn't sever this familial bond. But now, I had my daughter. I smashed the wine glass to the floor and said, furious, "If you still see me as your sister, then respect my decision. Otherwise, don't ever contact me again." The next second, Alex suddenly slapped me. Then he grabbed my hair and forced me down in front of Ethan, compelling me to go down on her knees and apologize. Alex roared, "You have no right to speak here." He swung his arm back and brought it down towards me. Ethan quickly stood up and blocked him. He crouched down, shielding me in his arms, and said softly, "Grace, are you all right? Stop this nonsense. Just listen to your brother, and we'll live a good life together as a family." I looked around at the people with varying expressions in the private dining room. I couldn't help but scoff as I struggled to my feet. "Are you done with your performance? Aren't you tired of this charade?" I then scrutinized the man I had shared a bed with for 8 years. "You want me to take on the stigma of the other woman for Luna? Fine, I'll go to the press conference." Ethan's eyes flickered, and he reached out to pull me into his arms. I quickly dodged him, slamming the door as I left. Ethan followed me out of the private dining room. I quickly slipped into a waiting taxi by the entrance, watching the man running after the car in the rearview mirror, until his figure completely disappeared. After I got home, he still tirelessly sent me messages, but I never responded. So, luxury gifts seemingly costing nothing were delivered to my house, and the sales associates smiled at me with fawning smiles. "Mrs. Luna and her husband are so in love. Your cumulative spending has reached our top-tier VIP. It turned out that while I was carefully budgeting for my daughter's baby formula money, my husband was lavishly spending at luxury stores for his idealized love. I smiled and gave the sales associate Luna's phone number, telling her the address was wrong. No sooner had the sales associate left than Ethan's call came through. He spoke in a gentle tone I'd never heard before, softly comforting me, saying he knew I had been wronged and would try his best to make it up to me and our daughter in the future. See? He understood everything from the very beginning. It was just that compared to his idealized love, I would always be the one discard. Dead. I remained silent, holding the phone to my ear. Suddenly, faint, soft moans of a woman came from the other end. Ethan took a deep breath, hastily mumbled that his executive would contact me about the press conference later, then abruptly hung up. I held my daughter, staring blankly at the ceiling. Alex and Sarah were still contacting me. Alex asked if I had forgotten my last name, even threatening to dig up our mom and dad's ashes if I didn't obey, so they could see what an unfilial daughter I was. Sarah, meanwhile, sent pictures of Ben, telling me to consider the only remaining bloodline of the Sue family and not to act on emotion. A knot of anger tightened in my chest. I couldn't spit it out, nor could I swallow it. In truth, I should have realized they had no intention of being family to me when they took my entire inheritance. My only family was my daughter. As if sensing my low spirits, the little one hugged my arm, rubbing her chubby cheeks against my palm, her dark, bright eyes full of love. The gloom of the past few days finally saw a ray of sunshine. Before the press conference, I received an interview invitation from a small company where I had interned. Although the salary was meager, it was a good start. The press conference was held at the hotel where my daughter's baby's welcome had been held. Through the car window, I saw Ethan and Luna standing at the entrance. Their gray-blue tie and dress coordinated perfectly, making them look like a loving couple. Seeing me get out of the car, Ethan quickly jogged over, took my daughter from my arms, and, with a benevolent expression, cooed softly at her. Reporters gathered around the entrance of the hotel, immediately raising their cameras. Unfortunately, my daughter seemed shy with strangers, puckered her lips, and burst into tears in his arms. Ethan instantly froze, not knowing what to do with her. His face darkened as he snapped, "Be careful. The flashes are scaring the child." What a loving faff. Act. I followed Ethan into the hotel. As I passed Luna, she gave me a challenging smile. I merely curled my lips in indifference. It didn't matter. This play had only just begun. Who would be the hunter and who would be the hunted remained to be seen. Inside the venue, a pre-prepared speech lay before me, detailing everything from how I had seduced Ethan to how money-grubbing I was after marriage, in meticulous detail. Ethan lowered his voice and warned, "We'll also be launching new company products later. You'd better behave." He immediately put on a genial expression, gripping my right hand tightly with one hand, while picking up the microphone with the other to announce the official start of the press conference. No sooner had he finished speaking than several reporters stood up one after another. "Ms. Grace, we've heard that Mr. Ethan and Ms. Luna were famous college sweethearts. During that time, you allegedly one-sidedly harassed Mr. Ethan. Do you have any moral considerations? We've also heard that as soon as Ms. Luna went abroad, you became Mrs. Grace through improper means. What exactly were those means? Did you sleep with him? Did you drug him? And, Grace, it's rumored you prefer sons over daughters and abuse your daughter." Their words were sharp, and the entire venue began stirring. Ethan's face darkened. He grabbed the microphone and snapped coldly, "Which media outlet are you from? Let my wife finish speaking first." I looked at the man beside me with amusement. Weren't all these media outlets at the venue invited by him? Would they dare to take the initiative without his tacit approval? I ignored Ethan's eyes, full of apology and confusion, and spoke calmly. "These media outlets belong to Luna's company, don't they? Your company's capabilities and ethics are indeed consistent with Ms. Luna." The reporter's eyes unconsciously drifted towards Luna, filled with panic. They tried to argue, "The news is objective," I nodded. Luna only dared to create public opinion and fabricate baseless gossip to mislead the public. In reality, it couldn't stand up to scrutiny. With so many cameras around, every lawsuit for slander and defamation would be a guaranteed win. Seeing the reporters digging themselves deeper, Luna's brows slightly furrowed, she clutched her chest, and swayed faintly. I glanced playfully at Ethan beside me. His face remained impassive, but the hand holding the microphone tightened his grip imperceptibly. Luna swayed a few more times, then finally collapsed heavily to the ground, her eyes still desperately fixed on Ethan. The man sprang up, ignored the chaotic reporters, bent down, and embraced Luna. What's wrong? Ethan, I'm really sick. Why doesn't Grace believe me? It's bad enough she stole you, and now she's spreading rumors about my company's people. Luna's voice was clearly audible. Everyone in the venue could hear it. Once again, the reporters picked up their microphones and repeatedly challenged me. The other woman, take her place, slept her way into a position, malicious. The voices were noisy and fierce, as if trying to press me into darkness and condemn me to eternal suffering. My fingers traced my daughter's picture on my phone screen. I inserted the pre-prepared USB drive into the laptop and said in a deep voice, "Please calm down, media friends. Please examine this evidence before reaching any conclusions." Dozens of gigabytes of photos were enlarged on the venue screen. They were all photos of Luna with various men, frequenting bars and hotels while she was abroad. Among them were plenty of white-haired, pot-bellied nouveau riche. They claimed she went abroad for treatment, but how could someone gravely ill and not recovering be glowing with health and clinging to various men? The answer was self-evident. But knew about this. If I, someone without power or influence, could find these photos, how much more so the reputable Thompson family in Crestwood City? He simply didn't care. As long as Luna could return to his side, he would tolerate anything. He would even stoop to slandering me to ensure that his idealized love remained pure and benevolent in the eyes of outsiders, always above reproach. Ethan looked at me in disbelief. Grace. The reporters in the venue, constrained by Thompson's influence, only dared to whisper amongst themselves. Luna, just like at the baby's welcome, huddled her head in Ethan's arms. Trembling, feigning pitifulness. I clicked the mouse, playing an audio clip. It was from the day before I gave birth to my daughter, when Luna deliberately called to provoke me, causing me to lose control of my emotions and my water to break. She wanted me to guess if Ethan would choose me, giving birth in the operating room, or his idealized love, who was feigning a faint. Next, I played security camera footage from home. It showed two naked bodies intertwined, and the panting sounds that made everyone blush and their hearts race filled the ears of every person present. Ethan's face went pale. He was about to stand up. Then I threw a medical report in front of them both. It clearly stated that Luna's body had no issues whatsoever. I wonder, Ms. Luna, with a body as strong as an ox, where exactly are you feeling unwell now? Her eyes red, she cried heartbrokenly, Grace, I don't know what you're talking about. The evidence you just showed is photoshopped. Why are you slandering me? You've already stolen Ethan, and now you want to slander me too. She spoke as if she couldn't breathe, then collapsed into Ethan's arms, rolling her eyes. I scoffed. All evidence will be submitted to the court later. Whether it's true or false will be decided by someone else. Ethan finally lost his composure. He dropped Luna and walked in front of me. Adultery, falsifying evidence, manipulating public opinion. If he continued to protect his idealized love now, not only would the new products face a disaster, but Thompson's public image would also be drag. Get down. Ethan's eyes were red-rimmed, and his lower lip trembled slightly as he timidly tugged at my sleeve. Grace, you have to believe me. Luna seduced me into all these photos. I was drugged, I scoffed. So idealized love meant so little to him in the end. As soon as she harmed his interests in the slightest, she could only be ruthlessly abandoned. All truly loved was himself. Watching the chaotic press conference, I picked up the microphone with satisfaction and began to speak slowly, enunciating each word. What I want to announce at today's press conference is that I have officially filed for divorce. Ethan committed adultery and has never fulfilled his child support obligations. I have already submitted the evidence to the court. Please follow up on this matter, media friends. The reason I was making a public spectacle about filing for divorce was so that the court would judge fairly under the influence of public opinion. Besides the assets I was entitled to from the marriage, I had to get custody of my daughter. Ethan froze, staring in disbelief at the divorce petition being simultaneously displayed on the screen. Reporters swarmed them, even thrusting microphones into Ethan and Luna's faces. Both their faces turned ashen. Suddenly, Grandma stormed into the venue. I didn't have time to react before a slap landed on my face, making my eardrums ring. Grandma threatened to have my daughter killed if I dared to divorce, while Ethan pulled me, asking why I wanted to divorce him, why I could bear to leave him. They dared to harm her? I don't know where I found the strength, but I shoved them both away and turned to the media below, continuing my announcement. Ladies and gentlemen, I also have a big gift for Mr. Ethan. Thompson is suspected of tax evasion, and the relevant evidence has already been handed over to the tax authorities. Please continue to follow this. I had originally thought that if the Thompson family would just let me and my daughter leave, here would be no need to go down fighting. But now, Grandma was threatening my daughter's life, and I no longer cared about anything else. I played my final card to restrain them. As I said, I was no worse than anyone else. Ethan had never respected me and confidently believed I would never divorce him, so he hadn't intentionally hidden any of his business transaction documents from me. Fortunately, I came to my senses in time and was still able to collect evidence. A parent's love means planning for their child's future. My daughter's birth made me re-examine my relationship with Ethan. At the baby's welcome, it made me determined to leave. The press conference caused a huge stir, and news channels played the fiasco on a loop for several days. Thompson stock hit its daily limit down for several consecutive days. The family was busy with crisis management, so no one had time to deal with me. I was busy taking care of my daughter, busy with interviews and starting my new job, busy starting a brand new life. I even forgot about Ethan. Until a month later, after work, I saw a despondent-faced man at the entrance of my new company. He had lost a lot of weight, his once well-fitting suit now looked empty, and our wedding ring hung around his neck. The moment he saw me, his eyes lit up, and he limped towards me. "Grace, I finally found you. Please, let me come home. I know I was wrong. Dad was so angry he broke my legs. As soon as I could get out of bed, I came looking for you. Look. I found our wedding ring. I won't lose it again." The man tugged at the pendant, revealing a childlike, innocent smile. I used to love him like that. But later, he took off the wedding ring and threw it into the utility room right in front of me, stating bluntly that I was as unsophisticated as the rubbish inside. That version of him was gone. I ignored him and walked past, but silently followed behind me. It wasn't until I reached my doorstep that I couldn't help but speak. "Are you out of your mind? Luna cheated on you, and you still want to cherish her as his idealized love? Now I've ruined Luna, ruined the company, and ruined you, and you're begging to reconcile? Are you a masochist?" At my words, Ethan lowered his head and said nothing. Just as I thought he was about to leave, I was suddenly pulled roughly into a tight embrace by a pair of arms. As he spoke, the warm breath from his nose brushed against my neck. "Grace, I'm sorry. I never meant to hurt you. It was all a misunderstanding." With that, he took out his phone and opened his photo album. "This video, it's just hot congee accidentally spilling on my clothes and the bed. Luna and I just happened to be changing clothes and applying burn cream. And this one, actually, I was drunk that day. Luna took me home, and I thought she was you. Plus, she deliberately seduced me." I looked at the passing cars outside the door and said expressionlessly, "I understand. Can you leave now?" Ethan nervously clutched his phone, his eyes squeezed shut in pain. No. I truly love you, Grace." At that time, Luna and I were indeed dating, and we even set a wedding date. But her temper was truly erratic, while you were gentle as water. I was deeply attracted to you, so Luna, in a fit of pique, falsely claimed she was going abroad for medical treatment. You were the one who tempted me first. This is what we owe Luna. You've had your anger out, so can't we just live a good life as a family from now on? We met in college. Back then, I worked my way through college, often living on a shoestring budget, while he was the renowned young Ethan from Crestwood City. We shouldn't have crossed paths. One day by chance, I found his wallet and returned it with everything intact. The guy eyed my faded t-shirt with surprise, stood frozen for a moment, and finally took me for a bowl of beef noodles. I knew Luna was always hovering around him, so I quietly hid my youthful crush. It wasn't until he warned Luna had gone abroad that I slowly began to accept his advances. Later, he confessed his feelings, proposed, and we had a child. Now, with the truth laid bare, those once innocent memories of budding romance felt utterly sickening. Under public scrutiny, the court issued a fair judgment. My daughter and I continued to live in this house, and Ethan was required to pay us substantial alimony each month. Even the small company I joined began expanding its business, and it thrived. Later still, I hadn't seen Ethan in a long time. I heard Thompson was undergoing bankruptcy proceedings. One weekend, as I was strolling through Maplewood Park with my daughter, a disheveled woman suddenly lunged at me. She screamed, "Whore, die." By the time I recognized her as Luna, a gleaming knife was already lunging directly toward me. I had no time to dodge. In that critical moment, I only managed to shield my daughter behind me before a familiar figure covered me. The plunged into Ethan's back, and blood instantly soaked his clothes. Luna was quickly subdued by the security guards. The man's face was ashen, his breathing shallow, Yet he still clutched my hand, pleading desperately, "Forgive me, I'll protect you and our daughter from now on." As he spoke, even foamy blood seeped from the corner of his mouth. Even though we had gone our separate ways, he had just saved my daughters and my life, and I truly couldn't stand by and watch him die in front of me. I pressed my clothes against the gushing wound and calmly dialed 911. After the ambulance took him away and confirmed he was out of danger, I took my daughter home. This was what he owed us. The day my daughter learned to say mommy, I became a director at the new company. Even if Thompson went bankrupt, I could still provide for my daughter and myself. Due to their association with Thompson, my brother Alex and sister-in-law Sarah's business naturally plummeted. Those who once held their heads high finally humbled themselves, kneeling at my doorstep, begging me for some living expenses. I only paid for Ben's tuition and meal fees. As for the rest, I couldn't, and wouldn't, take care of it. Luna was imprisoned for 2 years for assault. During her incarceration, Ethan arranged for her to be well cared for, and she had lost an eye by the time she was released from prison. After she was released from prison, she broke into the Thompson with a knife. Ethan's elderly parents succumbed on the spot, while Ethan barely clung to life, lingering in St. Jude's Hospital for half a year before being discharged. With second imprisonment, Ethan's suicide by jumping from the building at the former Thompson building. As for me, I playfully teased my daughter, coaxing her to say mommy a few more times, and in her soft calls, a long-lost smile appeared on my face. Thank you for watching today's story. If you enjoyed this video, please give it a like and share it with your friends. We look forward to hearing your thoughts in the comments. Feel free to share your perspectives, and don't forget to subscribe to our channel for more exciting stories. See you next time.